And that means you needed help with this assignment right here. Page 545, number 6 through 17. So if that's not the video you wanted to see, then you got to find the right video. All right, here we go. Let's start off with number 6. Number 6, actually 6 through 11, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the directions are, and your book should be open to page 545. The directions are, find the length of the hypotenuse. Write your answer in radical form. So I'm not going to try to be super neat. Here's your 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 90 triangle. There's a 2. There's a 2. There's your x. They want us to find the hypotenuse, and we know when we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times the leg. So, in order to find the hypotenuse, I have square root of 2 times the leg, and of course my legs are 2. And then of course I've told you to write this number out front, so the hypotenuse equals 2 square root of 2. And the directions said to write it in radical form, so I'm going to leave it in radical form. Alright, number 7. Triangle looks like this. There's your right angle right there. If you'll look in your book, you'll see it. Here's a 7, here's a 7, here's your x. We're going to find the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. The hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times the L. So the hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times 7, because 7 is your leg. And the right way, or the proper way to write this, is put the 7 out front and then square root of 2. These are not difficult, students. If you'll memorize the formulas, they're actually really easy. Okay, number 8, we are going to look for the hypotenuse. So we're going to call this x. Here's my right angle, and my legs are square root of 5, square root of 5. Okay, oh no, there's square roots for the legs. What are we going to do? It's still no big deal. Exact same formulas, exact same stuff. It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and the formula we use to find the hypotenuse is hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times, my wife is making me laugh. She needs to stop. The formula for finding the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 triangle is square root of 2 times L. So where the L is, I'm going to substitute the square root of 5. So now we have square root of 2 times square root of 5, and we have learned how to multiply those. And so square root of 2 times square root of 5 would be square root of 10. Now you've got to learn to ask, just like in elementary school when you had a fraction like 3/9, you had to learn to always check your fractions and reduce them, like 3/9 would be 1/3. You've got to learn to look at your radicals and simplify them if they can be simplified, okay? So your list of perfect squares, I'm going to list them over here, so we'll have them from now on, is 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, and 10 times 10. Now there's more. We'll usually go up to 15 times 15, but that's going to be sufficient for right now. So none of these numbers in your perfect squares list will divide into 10 evenly. So you cannot simplify this radical, so you're done. All right, moving on to number 9. All right, number 9. Actually, I think we just did number 9. 6, or did we skip? Oh, we skipped 8. Wonderful. So I called 8 9, and now I'm going to call 9 8. So when you watch this video, this should be thoroughly confusing, and I apologize. So this is number 9, and now this problem here is going to be number 8. So sorry about that. I'm not going to start the video over. This is a help video. It's pretty much just there for you to watch it for homework, so I think you can kind of figure it out. So we should be okay. All right, number 8, we have a length of 8, a length of 8, and we have x right here. It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So how do you find the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 triangle? Well, hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times L. So the hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times 8, and you write your 8 out front, so the hypotenuse equals 8 square root of 2. There we go. Moving on to number 10. We already did number 9, so now we're on number 10. All right, number 10, the triangle looks something like this. Of course, I'm not trying to get an award for my drawing. We're just doing this quickly, but number 10 looks something like this. We have square root of 3 for this leg, square root of 3 for this leg, and x for the hypotenuse. Now, this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and they want us to find the hypotenuse, so we should know by now the formula for finding the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 triangle is square root of 2 times L. So, where the L is, I'm going to substitute square root of 3. And now we're going to multiply these two together. So the hypotenuse equals square root of 2 times square root of 3 is square root of 6. None of your perfect square numbers over here divide into 6 evenly, so it cannot be simplified. Moving on to number 11. Number 11. Okay, there's your right angle, and let's see, your two legs are square root of 10, square root of 10, here's your x. How do you find the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 triangle? Well, I've said it a lot, I'll say it again, it's square root of 2 times L. So where the L is, I'm going to substitute square root of 10. Multiply those two together, and you get square root of 20. And now, one of these numbers over here does divide into 20 evenly, and it's 4. So really, the square root of 20 is the square root of 4 times 5. Now, we do not know the square root of 5, but we do know the square root of 4, so cross off the 4 and put a 2 on the outside because the square root of 4 is 2. So the hypotenuse is 2 square root of 5. All right, that's the first section. Let's move on to numbers 12 through 17. 12 through 17. All right, number 12 looks something like this. Let me read the directions. I believe in all these we're looking for legs. Yes, we're looking for legs. It does not say whether to write your answer in radical form or not, so we are going to write our answer in radical form. And so here we go. This triangle has an x here, a right angle here, and the hypotenuse is 10 square root of 2. All of these are 45, 45, 90 triangles. So right now we're trying to find the leg. How do you find the leg when you're missing a leg in a 45, 45, 90 triangle? Well, the leg equals the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. So the leg equals, the hypotenuse is 10 square root of 2, so I make that substitution right here for h. I make the substitution, and the bottom is square root of 2. These cancel, and the leg equals 10. So if one x is 10, the other x is 10 also. All right, let's continue on to number 13. Number 13. All right, number 13 looks like this. X here, right angle here, and 4 square root of 2 here. All right, this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and we're trying to find a leg. We have the hypotenuse, we're looking for a leg. Whenever it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the formula to find the leg is the hypotenuse over the square root of 2. So the leg equals, now what is your hypotenuse? It's 4 square root of 2 over square root of 2, cross those off, and your leg equals 4. All right, moving on to number 14. Number 14. All right, number 14 looks like this. X here, right angle here, and 5 square root of 2 here. All right. This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, so the formula for finding a leg is leg equals hypotenuse over square root of 2. So where the h is, I'm going to substitute the hypotenuse, which is 5 square root of 2, all over square root of 2. These cancel, and your leg is 5. These are really redundant. It's the same thing over and over and over, but hopefully it will help you guys. I don't mind doing this. I just hope that you're getting it. All right, number 15 looks like this. We have a square root of 2 here, and an x here, and an x here, right angle here. This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and when you have a triangle like that and you're looking for the leg, you use the formula hypotenuse over square root of 2. So where h is, I'm going to substitute square root of 2 over square root of 2. Of course, they both cancel out. Please don't put that the leg equals 0. Everything cancels out. You're left with 1 over 1 or just 1. So the length of the leg is 1. Okay, moving on to number 16. Number 16. Number 16 looks a little trickier. I have not worked this out yet, so let's see how we do here. Looks like we have a square because they have all four sides congruent. If you'll look in your book, students, they have this. They have a mark here, a mark here, a mark here, and a mark here. So we know we're dealing with a square because we also have a right angle here and a right angle here. Now let's see what else they give us. They tell us that the length of this side right here is 8 square root of 2, and this length here is x, and this length here is x. Now let's think about this for a second, okay? Please watch this. See this top, I'm going to outline. See this top triangle right here? Does everybody see that? I'm going to rip that off of the diagram. I'm going to put it right down here like this. Alright, now see this side right here? That's x. I'm going to put an x right here. See this length right here is 8 square root of 2, so I'm going to put 8 square root of 2. Now, Mr. Earhart, we don't know what this length here is. No, we don't. You're right. But remember in the book, they have a red mark here, a red mark here, a red mark here, and a red mark here. That means all four sides are congruent. So if this is x and this is x, then this length up here also is x. So I can put an x here. So we do have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. I'm not going to get into great detail why, except to say whenever two sides of a triangle are congruent, their opposite angles are congruent. So this has to be 45 and this has to be 45 to make all three angles add up to 180. So we do have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and because we have that, we have a formula to find the leg, and the formula for a leg is hypotenuse over square root of 2. So your hypotenuse is 8 square root of 2 over square root of 2. They cancel, and the length of x is 8. Alright, one more, and this was a very quick video, so that's pretty good. Number 17. Number 17. Alright, we have a triangle that looks like this with a line dropped straight down. It's 90 degrees. And they're calling this 45 right here. And this is called 14 square root of 2. And we're trying to find x here and also x here. And by the way, this is also 45 degrees here too. Now, notice this. Whenever they call one side x and another side x, if they call them both x, then they're the same length. That's why they're both called x. Now, I'm going to take a blue marker here. I'm going to highlight this triangle off to the right, or to the left, excuse me, right here. And I'm going to kind of rip that away from that diagram and draw it down here like this, okay? So this is 90 degrees, this is 45. See how this length right here is 14 square root of 2, so I'm going to write 14 square root of 2 right here. See how this length right here is x, so I'm going to call that x. Now think about it, students. Remember how all three angles on the inside of a triangle have to add up to 180? Well, you've got 45 here and you've got 90 here. So this angle here does have to be 45, because 45 plus 45 plus 90 equals 180. So we do have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and here's your right angle pointing to the hypotenuse. So we know we're looking for an egg. We are looking for ham and eggs and potatoes. We're looking for a leg, okay? And so x is a leg, and the formula for looking for a leg in a 45, 45, 90 triangle is leg equals hypotenuse over square root of 2. So leg equals, for h, I'm going to substitute 14 square root of 2 all over square root of 2. Those cancel, and the length of your egg or leg is 14. So there we go. That's it. That was not too difficult, and I hope that helped you with your homework.